LDG Electronics provides state-of-the-art antenna tuners for every amateur need. An LDG desktop tuner works automatically with nearly any station and up to 1,000 watts. LDG power tuners are ideal for portable and mobile use as they consume almost no current and can be powered by internal batteries that last up to a year. LDG tuners are backed by our 2-year, fully transferable warranty and our legendary customer service, the best in the industry. Visit us on the web at ldgelectronics.com.
And now, from Grid Square Echo Mike 48, this is 100 Watts and a Wire.
Well, hello and welcome to 100 Watts and a Wire. My name is Christian. My call sign is Kilo Zero Sierra Tango Hotel, K0STH, coming to you just north of the city of St. Louis, where it is beautiful this week. Summertime just clicks on here. We go from rainy spring, quote unquote, to the 90s, just like that. And that's how spring seems to work at the moment. But it is a pleasant week, and I hope you're enjoying yourself as well. This is another 30-day review. This is where our friends who have 100-watt IDs have been put into a lottery. And as we're doing this, their name comes up to review certain products. So if you go to 100wattsandawire.com and go over to the 100-watt ID tab, register. Everything is free. And in a few days, you'll be sequentially issued an ID, a number. And with that, when we do things like these reviews, you can use that, and it sort of gets you in, and then you can participate. Once you're in, and we may do different things like this as we go. This will be, we're going to be doing 12 of these reviews, and then we'll reevaluate and see where we go from there. And on this review, we're going to be studying the Alinco DR-06TA. You're saying, C-Chow, what is that? Alinco, what is that? Well, this is a 6-meter FM mobile, or as my friends on 75-meter phone might say, mobile. Maybe even you say it, I don't know. It's all good. Tomato. Well, it's a transceiver that you can put in your mobile. And it retails for $249.95. To date, this is the most expensive review that the show has put out. And we've got 3 fellows here to go through a list of criteria from the packaging, the manual, is it easy to use and program? We'll look at the bench test performance. Did they make any contacts with it? What's the form factor, the pros and cons? And then we'll finish off this thing with an overall rating, either like a 5.5 to a 5.9, and we'll see what the fellas think. And joining us, your peers in this cohort, Eric, November 0, Yankee Echo Tango. Don. Woo! Here he comes. He's in there. See, we got it. We're looping through. Hold on, Eric. Don is Kilo Charlie 0 Delta Whiskey Zulu, and Ken is Kilo Echo 8 Hotel Zulu. And these guys spent 30 days with this product. And because of their kindness to serve the community, they give the review and they get to keep it, do whatever they want, put it on a ham fest table, run over it in the parking lot if they choose to do so. Let's find out if it's something that you would be interested in, because I don't want to spend your money for you. We'll let them decide if they liked it, and you can go from there. Okay, Eric, we're going to start off with the packaging. When it showed up at your house, what did you think?
Honestly, it was a lot heavier than I thought it'd be. I remember Alinco in the day being plasticky, cheap, lightweight, junk, kind of, sort of. This surprised me. It really did. Opened the box and it was packaged just like, it reminds me of like the Yaesus and some of the Kenwoods that I've purchased. Everything is packaged real well, and they're real tight in plastic wrap, and so it wouldn't get scratched up. The microphone and the power cables were separated so that they weren't all together in one place. So very well packaged.
Okay. Don, same question. Kilo Charlie Zero Delta Whiskey Zulu. You may recognize the call sign because he is a Sunday evening net control operator for 100 watts and a wire. And I knew, Don, when we were talking early on that you hadn't done this sort of 6 meter mobile before. And I didn't ask Eric, but I'll get around to do it. And I haven't either. So it's an interesting brand new thing for you. What did you think when it came to the door?
I was actually pretty impressed with the packaging. As Eric stated, everything was separated in their own bag. They had packing peanuts between the two boxes, the inner container from Alinco and the outer one. But overall, I was very satisfied with it, and it was very appealing when it came out of the box.
Okay, it sounds like this feels like it's a real radio, like it's a real boy, like Pinocchio, like that's the kind of thing. I think when you think of certain products, you think, well, like Eric mentioned, I don't know, this is kind of might be kind of crappy. I don't know. It does retail for $249.95. You can get it at HRO if you're interested in that, and you could probably get it at wherever you like to get radios if you're interested in like that 6 meter mobile setup. Ken, same situation. We're picky, us hams. I got to tell you, when I get something in the mail, I want to see how it's boxed up and how it's treated, packaged. If it's something that if they care for the packaging, in other words, I feel like maybe they've put extra care into their business. What did you think?
The packaging was great. Didn't have any problems with it. Just like they said, everything was separated. It came in a box inside of another box, and of course, it's got everybody's favorite packing peanuts.
I hate those peanuts
in the box, but no, it came in fine. Nothing was damaged. Like they said, everything was packaged in its own bags and stuff. Everything was separate. Although I was a little puzzled when I first opened it up and I found this strange wire with two like 1/8-inch headphone jacks, a male and a female, and then another wire with a male headphone and a little loop of wire on it. And I had to go through the manual to figure out what that was. But I'll leave a little suspense hanging on what that is until a little bit later.
It's a cliffhanger. There's an expert right there for you. All right, there's the packaging. It seems like we can count that as well done in terms of, having it sent out to the consumer. It's an important thing for me. People like to see things double boxed. I'm not a peanut guy. I remember they were making the kind that you could get wet and they'd go back into the earth. And I thought, well, that's good. But most of them I end up getting are the ones that you can't get them. They get sticky. They're static in between your hands. They're flying all about. It's one of those things. So I've never been a big peanut guy, but they must work because the people still do it. Okay, our 30-day review of the Alinco DR-06TA. Alinco DR-06TA continues with the manual. We know people get, manual. There are many hams. And manual, I don't know about that. And they throw it in the back seat or wherever it is they need to go. And then guys like me who are a little bit less technical, we kind of lean on that just a little bit, especially when it comes to programming, which we'll get to here in just a little bit. But let's see how they did with the manual, if it's enough information. Let's start off with Eric. What do you think?
The manual, you get a full page, 52-page manual. I didn't see any grammatical errors. I was expecting, like when you get something off of eBay or somewhere like that, please this do or something. But no, everything was great and easy to understand. It even has schematics in there, the warranty card, all that. Very, very well written. Covered everything I needed to know, programming wise and everything, and very clear instructions. No surprises. No do this, do that, and then you got to figure it out on your own. So I was impressed with the manual.
Good to know. Don, Kilo Charlie Zero Delta Whiskey Zulu. In terms of the manual, I know that you've got a big brain. I know that just by knowing you enough. It's a big brain. I don't know what's going on in there, but it's a big brain.
You don't want to know.
I don't want to go in there, and you don't want to come in here either. It's terrible. But in terms of a manual, are you a guy that refers to the manual? Are you a stickler for your manuals?
Yeah, so being an engineer, I always think I know what's going on, right? So I tend to do it intuitively at first until I get stuck. Then I'll open up the manual. So, that said, I agree with what Eric said. It was a full size, thick, well written. In fact, I got to say this carefully, but I think it was written by somebody who has English as their first language. I didn't see any grammatical things or anything. There was one typo. There
Oh,
was an errata sheet that called it out, and it was something that you would probably get you sent to Sherry's office.
oh,
Uh, it was referring to the function button, which is truncated or shortened to FUNC, funk.
oh.
Let's
Interesting.
just say they transposed two of the letters in one location, and I did get a chuckle out of it.
Wow, wow, that's a huge
Yeah,
that would get you fired at a lot of places. That's it. That
exactly, exactly. And as Eric said, the schematics were there, which were pretty cool. I thought it was easy to follow. It covers everything you need to know, except it didn't seem to cover anything regarding interfacing to computers. So, which I didn't even try.
okay. Oh, it tried to teach you about the birds and the bees, but
Yeah,
you
exactly.
didn't want to listen. But hey,
I
that's
didn't
funny.
want to go there.
That's funny. Ken, Kilo Echo 8, Hotel Zulu, Zulu. Let's talk about the manual a little bit. I don't know if you're like me or not. I kind of rely on them. I like a physical manual that I can take out with me or put it in a go bag. I just kind of feel better if I have it. I can flip through it if I need it. And I also like the online manual option too, in case I know I can almost always get to a computer. Where do you fall somewhere in your manuals? You toss them away or do you really lean on them?
I'm kind of in the middle. I'm kind of like Don. I like to try to see if I can figure things out on my own, and then when I get stuck, then I go for the manual. So I like to keep it fairly close, within arm's reach, because I forget a lot of times. Like I may read it once to figure out how to do an offset or set a CTSS tone or something like that, and then the next time I have to go do it, I'll forget and I'll have to grab it again. But yeah, thumbing through the manual and looking through it and the stuff that I read, most of it was pretty good. And I would say the same thing. It seems like it feels like it was written by somebody who had a had a good understanding of the English language. So I won't argue with it at all. There was a couple things that I noticed, but we can get to that in the cons, or I can get to that now if you'd like. But there was a couple things I noticed that I didn't like about it. So I can go either way, whatever you want.
Well, we can bring it back up in the pros and cons. If it fits in the manual, let's go ahead and say it now. That's fine. Go ahead.
Well, there was a couple things, like some of the menus, the menu abbreviations on the actual menu of the radio are not necessarily intuitive as to what they are. So going through the manual trying to find it, the abbreviation wasn't in the description or in the title. So as I'm trying to look for a certain function through the menu, I couldn't find it, and it took
Hmm.
me some work to try to figure that out what it was.
Okay, yeah, that can be frustrating. I wonder if they have any online support. That's another thing. I don't really get into that here, and some of these products have really great support, and you can go online. And I mean, who wants to do all that? But when you get stuck, and at this price point for $250 for a 6 meter FM mobile transceiver, sometimes they have really good. I think we did software one time for logging, and they had this great support system through social media. They had their own sort of way that you can get information. Maybe other radios should do that, but those kind of support groups where they have those groups may be a good option for some of those. But we'll get to pros and cons a little bit later, and the guys can fill you in on all that stuff. Okay, so 30 days continues now with the Alinco DR-06TA. It is a 6 meter FM mobile transceiver. I've never worked 6 meters. I'm not even sure I have a 6 meter contact, to be honest with you. I have no idea. I think I've listened, and I may have tried, but I think I have not. And certainly not mobile. I don't even know about the antennas. There's so much to learn in this great hobby of ours. Let's move now to the ease of use. Let's find out. We heard a little bit from the manual, a little bit there. Ken told us about it. It was a little, I don't know. He couldn't figure some things out based on what was given to him in the manual. Let's see how easy it is to use or not easy. Eric, come and tell us.
I would say ease of use, it's pretty much the same as any other radio as far as your menu system. You've got to poke a button to get to the other menu or something like that. The one thing I really liked about this radio, the microphone is just awesome. It as far as it has, for instance, it has a button on it for monitoring, and instead of reaching down, hitting squelch or hitting a button and then adjusting the squelch level and all that, if all you want to do is open squelch and listen, you hit this button and you're monitoring. It's like breaking squelch wide open. So that was nice. You don't have to keep bending down looking at the radio. Going back and forth between VFO and memory and all that, it's buttons right there. It's real easy to do. Programming it would have been nice to have a little bit more options on the microphone instead of down on the radio, turning the dial, doing all that. But you could get to the menu options. It has the up down arrows on the microphone. It's just really easy to step through things. It's a little more difficult as far as programming it, getting into the radio to do the alphanumeric, for instance, and things like that. But other than that, I really enjoyed the monitor function on the mic. That was probably my favorite feature.
Okay. Don, I noticed that microphone that Eric talks about it's almost as large as the radio itself. It looks like there's a lot going on there. And I don't know.
It's not quite that big, but
yeah, maybe not. But I mean, it's not as deep, of course, but it is a sizable, and I guess that's good. It'll come up later when we talk about that kind of form factor. But there seems to be a lot of information happening on that microphone itself. How easy was it for you to use? Was it where do you fall on that?
I'll say it was pretty typical compared to my Woshan or Ocean VHF quad band radio, which also has 6 meters, and I've never used that either. It was pretty straightforward and easy to use, and I didn't have any complaints about it. I threw power pole connectors on it as soon as I got it, so I could use it either in the shack or in a cigarette lighter in the car, and which is where I ended up using it finally. And I'd say for a typical VHF radio, it's what you would expect.
What kind of antenna did you end up using?
So I have a quad band Comet for the mobile, which is on a mag mount. And then I also tried my end-fed, and I'll get into a little bit about who I talked to and et cetera, or tried to talk to.
Okay. Yep. We'll take a look at the bench test here in just a little bit.
Yep.
Ken, in terms of ease of use there, did you do a lot of programming by the radio, or did you do it from the microphone, I guess, with a lot of buttons on it?
I did a little bit of both. I did program 2 repeaters in, and that really wasn't a big deal to get those in. And I just left the frequencies up. I didn't bother trying to program any kind of names or anything like that on there. The one thing I did notice right away was I tried to go to the calling frequency, and even trying to punch it in on the mic, it wouldn't go in. So I had to go through the menus and find the step and change the step, because the step was just too wide. It wouldn't let me hit the 5 that I needed. So I changed that, and after that, it was a piece of cake. Yeah, and it's exactly what I would have expected. I have an Alinco 2-meter radio, so it's very similar to the way they operate between the 2 radios.
So they keep that kind of ecosystem, if you're familiar with that. That's good. I like that among radio makers. That's good. That makes sense. All right, we're going to move into the next section here, which is the bench test. This is when we do a little bit of A/B. Maybe you compare it to another radio if you have something for 6 meters. Take a look at different antennas and how it performed. Eric, what did you think?
I hooked it up. I have a tri-band beam that I put a 6-meter element on at the house on my tower, and I have 2 other radios with 6 meters in them, and I hooked all 3 of these up and tested between them on that antenna, and the people I spoke with said they could not tell the difference audio quality wise. One of them I have a desk mic or on a boom, and they could not tell the difference. They said the hand mic, they could tell when I was using the hand mic on the other two radios, but the quality between them sounded the same. It does really well with I like he did. I put power poles on it right away, made it easier to connect them. It's just a solid radio. It's got a really good heat sink. I thought it was mil-spec at first, and then I looked at the bottom and it has a plastic plate on it. So it's not mil-spec, but it is very sturdy and very heavy, really large heat sink that heats up. So antenna-wise, I put it on a 6-meter ham stick when I was mobile, and same thing with the other radios. And the receive sound about the same. I could not tell a difference in like strength from the beacons that I tested or the repeaters. One didn't pick up better than the other. So I'd say they're pretty much equal to the rest of the radios I had.
Okay. Don, did this thing come with all the mounting brackets and all that sort of stuff? It positions itself as a mobile radio. Did it give you everything that you would need for an install?
It did, if I was interested in installing it, which I did not do. But like Eric said, it's easy to use. It was fine. My issue was more where I'm located, I guess. It appears in the state of Minnesota, there's only 2 or 3 active 6-meter repeaters, and they're all over 100 miles from me.
Oh, man.
So I drove to work 20 miles every day for 2 weeks straight with the mag mount antenna and the radio on the seat next to me. And I'm listening and I'm calling, and I was trying to, just scanning through frequencies. I was trying the national call channel or frequency. Never had a thing. I scheduled a QSO with a member of one of the clubs around here, and he's 20 miles from me. We got on the air on the calling frequency. He was on his base station. He couldn't hear me from here, or vice versa. I had to drive to St. Paul. I was 6.5 miles from his home before he finally heard me, and we could actually have an intelligible QSO. That's not a function of the radio. It's just the city of St. Paul was in between us, and he's in a low-lying area. So I then tried one with one of our 100-watt members, Shane, over in Hugo, which is about 6 miles from me. And we tried it both on the mobile and with my end fed. Couldn't work. Now, I will also say we tried it. We both have 7300s feeding end feds, and we couldn't talk on the 7300s either. So, maybe it's the end feds weren't really amenable to 6 meters. So my only disappointment was I didn't really get a chance to test the radio thoroughly, give it a shakedown, and that's just a function of that band and where I am.
That's frustrating. Okay, well, that does make sense, but yeah, that must be frustrating for you a little bit there. Ken,
well, I wish I could have given a better review.
Well, I mean, you tried it. I don't even think I've made a 6-meter contact, which is, I don't know. It's just wacky. I guess I'm just not there. I spend more time in other places, I guess, but that's fair. That's fair. Ken, looking at a bench test, were you able to put this up against anything else or put a different antenna or anything like that in terms of putting it on a bench?
Well, that's the only place I used it was here in the shack. I don't have a mobile 6-meter antenna, so I just used it here. The antenna I did use with it was the GP15 that I have for 2 meters and 70 centimeters. So I was using that, and when I put that antenna up, I did make it centered about in the middle of the band so it would cover the repeater portion. So it was tuned very well, and yes, I did. I put it up against my 991A and went back and forth. Of course, I was using not a stock microphone on the 991, but believe it or not, everybody that I talked to with it, and I did have conversations with 3 different people, they said that the Alinco actually had a little bit better audio. So I don't know if my settings are wrong in the 991, but they said the audio was punchier and a little bit louder. So that's definitely a win for the Alinco. It's very easy to use. I think the buttons are large enough that they're easy to see, they're easy to read, so you can get to them without having to worry about hitting other buttons. And with the functions that it doesn't have so many functions that it's hard to find what you're looking for. So,
Okay. This kind of couples in with the performance of it too, because 6 meters is an interesting band, and I believe it's called the magic band, which means to tell me it's not always there, and sometimes it's, hey, there it is, and everybody scurries to try to make a contact. So let's loop back in with the performance side. Eric, any luck with contacts?
I was not able to make any sporadic contacts, like with sporadic E or E-skip or the magic, where the magic happens. I was able to, I had a mobile with me when I was driving. There's 7 or 8 different repeaters in the areas I was driving. I was able to talk through 5 of those. One of them was with the repeater owner down in Kansas City area, Topeka, Kansas City area. We had a good, probably 30-minute QSO. And then on the calling, I like them on the calling frequency. I just could not get anybody. I was hollering CQ, CQ until my ears were bleeding and just turned the radio off. Same thing when I had it at the house, rotate the beam around different directions and couldn't get anything. So FM is probably pretty hard to do the skip on, and 6 meters is pretty dead. So as you said, but I was able to talk to a few scheduled contacts simplex, and quite a few not scheduled through the repeaters where I was mobile at driving through. So it worked out pretty well.
So Don, I guess we shouldn't do a 6 meter net, huh, for 100 watts in a wire.
Yeah, I'm sorry, fellas.
That's funny. I don't know you can have a net control for that. I do know that people will scurry when 6 meters or 10 meters opens up. Yep. Everybody's goes for it, but it's not always there for you. In terms of,
and our friend Paul is a real fan of it.
So performance-wise, for you, it's not a factor that you can even gauge, I suppose.
No, I guess all I'll say is, hearing the testimony of the other fellows kind of what I would anticipate, and knowing that I think Ken has a 2 meter band radio, that says that it's probably a quality device. I just didn't have a chance to experience it.
Okay, fair enough. Ken, any chance of making any contacts for you that were notable, or did you struggle as well? Because this band, it's a tricky one.
Yeah, I was unable to make any spontaneous contacts. I tried through the repeaters that I could reach, and tried calling numerous times for a good half hour each time on the calling frequency, and was unable to get anybody up. But I did make a contact with schedule a contact. Actually, the first contact I made with a fellow ham who's a member of our club, and he's 32 miles away, and we were talking to each other on 5 watts. I mean, it was we can talk to each other on 2 meters, but it's 50 watts, and it's kind of rough. But I'll tell you, 6 meters was impressive. It was clear, and we used way less power. And I mean, it's to the point that we do a weekly 2 meter simplex net in our club. And we're now discussing doing a weekly 6 meter net because it seems to work very well. And most people have access to 6 meters. There's the GP15 is a very popular antenna in our area. So yeah, we're thinking about using it more often.
All right. Well, there you go, guys. We're dealing with a product now that is interesting because we're going to talk about the form factor, and specifically, under a 30-day review, I think, having it and holding it and how does it operate, function, how do the buttons feel, that kind of deal is all part of the durability factor of radios. And at the $249.95 price point for a band that's kind of there or may not be there for you, these are things to think about. This is a cohort that got together to study this thing over 30 days. It's the Alinco DR-06TA, and we're going to take a look at the durability, the form factor. And Eric, what did you think?
This one's, I would say it's a very durable radio. It reminded me, right out of the box, I thought, this looks just like my mil-spec Yaesu FT887 I bought a while back for dual band 2-meter 440. It's roughly the same size. It was about 4 pounds, the radio. And it's got a huge heat sink, metal heat sink, metal covers. The bracket that comes with it is really good. The only downside I would say is on the bottom, it's got that plastic cover, and the only reason I can think they have that is if you need to get into it for some reason, but the manual specifically says do not open it up and do anything with it. So in my opinion, they could have just put another metal plate under there or something that made this, especially at that price point, made it a little bit more durable that way. But again, it doesn't detract from, you could probably drive over this with your vehicle and it would hold up. It's very, very rigid heat sink and pretty thick metal for the heat sink too. So the antenna connectors tucked way out of the way, so it's not like sticking out. One thing I really appreciated on this radio that I've missed on all my others is the microphone connector. I don't like the RJ45 connectors. They all are RJ11s or whatever they're calling them, 22s. The little register jack ones, like the telephone connector ones. This one has the multi-pin that you push in and screw on there, and it stays on there. You could probably pull on that thing all day long and it will not come off. So I really appreciated that. That was again a real good feature of the microphone. So that was I think really increases its durability.
Okay. Well, Don, Kilo Charlie Zero Delta Whiskey Zulu. So, form factor. How does it feel to you? Is it rugged? Being an engineer, I know you're the person they put the message underneath on the plastic part. Don't take it off. I'm sure you did. Maybe not, but they put it on for guys like you who want to get in there and right. Dig it. I guess it may void your warranty when you do things like that. I don't know.
Probably. Yeah.
But how did it feel when we said it was boxed up well? It came out sturdy radio for you. Something that yes or no, you liked it, didn't like it. What do you think?
I did. I thought it was very well packaged, and I used to be a packaging engineer at one time in my career, so I can appreciate the attention to detail. I can't speak to why they put the plastic plate on. But I agree with the microphone jack. That's definitely the way to go, especially in a mobile environment. It's a cute little thing. I don't know how else to describe it. It seems to pack a lot of punch for the size. You can tell it's durable. I thought it was a little interesting. Of course, this is going to go against durability if they did this. It does not have a detachable faceplate, which a lot of mobile radios do. So if you're looking to hide the unit somewhere else and just have the head or face there, yeah, you're going to be disappointed. The flip side is it's so dang small, you can almost tuck it into a console or something. So I think it was well thought out. And, I'm frankly interested in the 2-meter version of it if I were going to get another radio.
Okay, cool. Ken Kilo Echo 8 Hotel Zulu. Durability, how's it feel in your hand? Is it rugged? Is it something you could toss in your truck? You feel like it's going to be all right, or do you think you might break this thing?
Yeah, I think it would be fine. The microphone is solid, and it feels good. It sounds good. I like the ease of use as far as the microphone. If you got to change frequencies or something with the buttons, and it lights up really well, so you can see it well in the dark or whatever. And like they all said, it seems like a really rugged, tough radio. The mounting bracket's pretty solid. I kind of use it as a stand right now to keep it propped up. So yeah, I wouldn't have any complaints there. The only thing that I would say is it gets pretty warm. So with it not having a fan on it, I'd be a little concerned mounting it in some kind of a little cubby or something that doesn't have really good airflow, because it might melt something else down.
Right.
But yeah, it's a really nice solid radio. I would have no problems putting this in my vehicle, in my work truck, if I had a 6 meter antenna to use it with.
Okay. Good to know. This is the part of the 30-day review that many people are super interested in. They love the performance. They want to get to that pros and cons because, as I mentioned, the Alinco DR-06TA, $249.95. And I'm just looking at HRO because they've got it in. You could get it today if that's something you're into. They're not sponsors of the show. You could look at DX Engineering, Gigaparts, wherever you enjoy buying your gear. They may have it. But we're talking about 250 ducats here, so that's and I'm going to ask the fellas. I want to see, if that's something they would spend their money on for this. So Eric, November 0 Yankee Echo Tango, pros and cons.
Pros for sure. The microphone. It reminds me it's not quite as big as what the Yaesu used to call the Mr. Potato Head mic. But it fits well in your hand. It has all the functions. It lights up. It does all that. The audio another pro. The audio is really good with it. You can hear it real well. I put an external speaker in it, and it was just marginally better than the speaker that comes with it. It's got a good, looks like a 4-inch, I think, speaker on it. Sounds very good. The display is very bright, which you can dim and everything if you need to. It looks great. I really appreciated that when they included in the packaging, they put in a very generous, I think it was 12-foot length of double fused cable. I believe it was 10 gauge cable, maybe 12, to run into the vehicle if you wanted to. And that was very nice. The cons, there aren't too many. I really like this radio. At this price point, I would have liked to have seen options for maybe the tricolor display. My Yaesu had that, and I preferred the green instead of the amber, but I would have liked to seen at this price point being able to switch between them. The other con, which may spoil the cliffhanger they were talking about, was the alarm. This radio has an alarm in it, which is what that cable he's talking about. Maybe he can talk about that a little or something. But I hooked it up, and we can talk about that later here if you'd like. But it does have an alarm where if this cable gets broken, whatever, pulled, yanked, the radio emits a loud. It's not real loud, but a loud tone, annoying like a car alarm type thing.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Anyway, that was. Would I spend $249 to purchase it? Probably not, because of the 6-meter FM only mode. And as they said, it's really hard to find in the Magic Band the contacts. So that's my 2 cents worth.
Don, Kilo Charlie Zero Delta Whiskey Zulu, pros and cons of this, and $250. Let us know how you feel about that too. Pros and cons. What do you think?
So I like the looks of it, the appearance. It's easy to read. It's easy to use. It's small. All those good things. It appears to be durable. I think it works reasonably well to the extent that I could verify that. The only cons I really have would be what we said. The U.S. market doesn't seem to really demand 6-meter radios, at least not in my area. If I had to buy this radio for 6 meters, I would not. If I was looking for a 2-meter, or if they had a 2-meter 70 centimeter radio in a similar price range, I would definitely look at it as an option. I think it's a quality device. This particular one is just not suited for me in my situation.
Makes sense. Ken, same question. Kilo Echo 8 Hotel Zulu Zulu. I know you had some cons that you mentioned a little earlier with the manual, but tell us what you think about this, pros and cons, and would you buy it with your money, $250?
Well, the pros are probably a lot of the same thing that they've already mentioned. It's easy to use. The screen's bright. It seems very solid. It sounds good. The audio quality seems to be really good on it. So those are all definite, pluses for it. The cons, as I see it, is one that's already been mentioned was the head doesn't attach. If I was going to mount this in my vehicle, I really don't have, even though it is a pretty small radio, I'm not sure I really have a good place to mount it where I can see it, but it's kind of out of the way too. My work truck has a center console in it, and I really just don't have a whole lot of real estate to mount a full radio other than under the seat, and then bring the faceplate up and put it someplace out of the way. I did notice, and this isn't a huge deal breaker, but I did notice it doesn't have a reverse function, at least not that I found. So if you're wanting to see if you can talk to somebody simplex while you're on a repeater, you can't listen to the input without going through and changing some major settings. Again, it gets a little warm, so that's kind of a con. And one thing I did find interesting was it'll transmit in the data portion. So you got to kind of watch where you're at and make sure you're transmitting someplace you can. Now, I'm sure the reason why it'll transmit there is for the TNC, which I did not get a chance to try because it doesn't come with one, and I don't have one to hook in outside right now. So it might be a great radio for data. I don't know. I didn't get a chance to try that. So those are kind of the downside, along with the fact that 6 meters is just not a popular band. If I was looking for a 6 meter only radio or 6 meter FM only radio, I would buy it, but I'm not really in the market for that. So at this point, I would have to say no. I agree with them. It would be nice if it had some other modes. So that way it would be a little bit more versatile.
All right. We are going to, let's go back over to Eric. November 0, Yankee Echo Tango. This is the portion where I need to get the overall rating. We're going from 5.5 to 5.9. Eric, what happens here?
Unlike on a contest where everything is 5.9, I would give it a 5.8, I'd say, because most everything functioned very well, very durable, everything. Overall, I'd say a 5.8.
Okay, fair enough. Don, if this thing heats up now, you live in a real cold place. It's cold for long times. Is that a benefit to you? What do you think? 5.5 to 5.9? Yeah, could be. Could be a seat warmer.
Yeah, notwithstanding that I don't have use for a 6 meter radio, I would say based on the radio's other utility, it would be a 5.8, 5.7, 5.8. Just I can't use it very well, so it's of little value to me in that regard. But I think it's a good radio, and I think it would probably be worth the price if there were uses for it.
Seat warmer. Think about that one. That may work for you. Ken, Kilo Echo 8, Hotel Zulu Zulu. Same situation, 5.5 to 5.9. We're letting the people know. I mean, just the more we talk about it, I think that one band option, that is a little hard for me too. And at that price point, I can say I wouldn't be. But I know people are addicted to the bands that they love, and this is a radio for somebody. So we can only get the dual of it as being a seat warmer for Don in Minnesota, where it's cold almost all the time, and 6 meters. Where do you fall on the overall rating, 5.5 to 5.9?
Well, I would say as an overall rating, judging it on how it's designed and what it's built to do, I would say I'd give it a 5.8 because it does 6 meters, I feel, very well. It's got good audio. It's got good audio on transmit and receive. So it's just all the things that we've talked about already. So I would definitely give it a solid 5.8 for what it's designed for.
Beautiful. Well, there you have it, friends. The Alinco DR-06TA. It is a 6 meter FM mobile transceiver, $249.95. You could probably shop around and get it a little bit cheaper. I learned today that, having one band, that's cool for me on an antenna, but I don't know. I think I really do need options when it comes to being able to work other bands, especially with 6 meters being so finicky. It's in, it's out. Then again, there are people who just love the Magic Band and would, benefit from this. And I think the guys gave a really fair evaluation of the pros and cons between it has good audio, it's sturdy. They give you all the factors there. But look around, shop around. You might be able to get a good price if you're totally into one band or one mode in your radios. So there you go. My thanks to Eric, November 0, Yankee Echo Tango, Don, Kilo Charlie 0, Delta Whiskey Zulu, Ken, Kilo Echo 8, Hotel Zulu Zulu. This was a cohort for this 30-day review. I'm very happy and proud that we could send this out there for them and to give them an opportunity to give you, our community, some honest feedback so you can decide if this is something that you might want to explore a little bit deeper. There you go. Visit 100wattsandawire.com, get yourself a 100-watt ID, and when we do things like this, you will be qualified. You'll also be added to the mailing list, so we'd love to have you there. Okay, friends, don't just look good. Try to go out there and do good, be good. And if you can, by all means, please try and stay above the noise. 7-3, y'all.
To join the 100 Watts and a Wire community, visit 100wattsandawire.com.